morning.
Morning.
Morning. We're gonna convene as the Board of Supervisors. Do I have approval of the tentative agenda?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes of the last meeting, please.
April 6th, 2026, Chairperson Bosch called the regular meeting of the Wright County Board of Supervisors to order at 9:30 a.m. Members present were this way. I meant 9 a.m. Not 9:30.
Actually, we did the budget meeting at
9 a.m.
was that the week prior?
That was the week
That was
prior.
the
Prior.
week prior.
Sorry,
9
yeah.
a.m., sorry. Members present were Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis. Motion by Lukes and seconded by Rasmussen to approve the tentative agenda. Motion carries. Minutes of the previous regular meeting of March 30th, 2026 were read and approved with one correction, and previous special meeting of March 30th, 2026 were read and approved. Approved claims for payment. In open forum, Herb Schuer discussed property taxes in Wright County. Bosch congratulated Brian State and Cindy Berger for 5 years of service to Wright County. Motion by Rasmussen, second by Ellis to approve the liquor license for Pop's Club Pizza and Pub at the Eagle Grove Golf Course. Motion carries. Motion by Clues and second by Rasmussen to receive the monthly revenue report from the Wright County Sheriff. Motion carries. Motion by Ellis and second by Clues to set the date and time for the Wright County budget public hearing for April 27th, 2026 at 9:15 a.m. Motion carries. Motion by Clues and second by Rasmussen to appoint Kate Garner for one of the selection committee members for the Wright County Agribusiness Park Marketing and Brokerage RFP/RFQ. Motion carries. Motion by Clues and second by Ellis to approve resolution 2026-13 for approval of the 2025 comprehensive plan. By roll call vote, ayes. Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis, nays, none. Resolution 2026-13 duly passes the meeting as follows, and you can see it there. Clemens, Wright County Engineer, give an update on the secondary roads department. Clemens presented the fiscal year 2027 Iowa DOT secondary road budget. Motion by Clues and second by Rasmussen to approve the fiscal year 2027 Iowa DOT secondary roads budget as presented. Motion carries. Clemens presented the fiscal year 27 Iowa DOT secondary roads 5-year program. Motion by Clues and second by Ellis to approve the fiscal year 27 Iowa DOT secondary roads 5-year program as presented with one carries. Motion by Ellis and seconded by Clues to go into closed session at 10 a.m. pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 21.51I to evaluate the competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session. By roll call vote, ayes, Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis, nays, none. Motion carries. Motion by Rasmussen, second by Ellis to come out of closed session at 11:34 a.m. By roll call vote, ayes, Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis, nays, none. Motion carries. There was no action taken regarding the closed session. There was no action taken regarding the Wright County Engineers employment contract. Motion by Clues and second by Ellis to go into closed session at 11:51. 1.51J. Discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of the governmental body would have to pay for that property or reduce the price of the governmental body would receive for that property. The minutes and audio recording of this session closed under this paragraph shall be available for public examination when the transaction discussed is completed. By roll call vote, ayes, Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis, nays, none. Motion carries. Motion by Clues and second by Ellis to come out of closed session at 12:08 p.m. By roll call vote, ayes, Clues, Rasmussen, Bosch, Lukes, and Ellis, nays, none. Motion carries. There was no action taken regarding closed session. Motion by Rasmussen, second by Clues to adjourn the meeting. Motion carries.
Any additions or corrections besides the time? We will stand approved as corrected. Claims have been around. Open forum for public input.
I'm Curtis Bauer. I'm running for Iowa House District 55 in the hopes of replacing Representative Shannon Latham. She has announced that she's not running again. So I'm just here to make myself known so you can see my very pretty face. If you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards. Willing to discuss and take any questions or comments or concerns, so.
Mhm.
I'm just here really to observe and kind of get a feel for what's going on here in Wright County, so
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Item number 5, Elizabeth Thayer, Gardner and Company to present the fiscal year end 2024-2025 Wright County audit.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Everybody have your book?
Yes,
They
ma'am.
all have one. Okay, well, we're gonna go through and hit the highlights. There's only really one big change this year. We had to implement governmental accounting standards board statement number 111 in regards to compensated absences. Again, the governmental accounting standards board sets the accounting rules. We just have to implement them. So in the past with compensated absences, we've only recognized the liabilities that get paid out in full when someone leaves employment. So your vacation, your comp time, and then it's been calculated and presented as your liability. This particular standard changes the way you look at sick leave, because you do go ahead and offer a sick leave benefit. And there's a good chance that, people are gonna use it between now and the time that they leave employment with the county, whether it's retirement, resignation, termination, that is not paid out on termination. So the way the standard works is you had to calculate the amount you believe that is more likely than not going to be used by an employee within their employment tenure with the county. So your payroll person, Deb, got to go through and assess for each employee what the probability of them using that sick leave. And we recorded a liability for what is more likely than not to be considered to be a liability. So you have some employees, I know, like I said, I don't make the rules, I just have to implement them forever.
Is there a
It's
standard for that, or you just?
It's governmental
It's-
accounting standards board, so, any questions or
No, I
concerns?
understand that, but when you're evaluating an employee on whether
Yeah.
or not, is that all completely subjective, or
Well,
is
it
there any
is.
objective?
Now, with every county, you have some people that, use sick leave a lot, whether they have, their own illnesses or, children that they need to care for, or elderly parents. So, the payroll people know pretty well who's using it all. Then you've got some employees that don't use it. They just don't use sick leave. And then everybody else is kind of a 50-50 because you never know when a serious illness or an accident is going to, impact someone's life, and they're gonna have to use that sick leave. So the way the implementation guide read, the ones that are gonna be using that sick leave, you recognize that liability accordingly. The ones that you don't think are gonna use it, you do it. And then everybody else is kind of 50-50. So again, it's an estimate. And, we went ahead and followed the implementation guidance provided by the GASB, and that's kind of where we're at. So, but that was what was new for this year. So, luckily the auditor's office was very patient with getting that implemented. So, New structure. yes, but going forward, it should hopefully Yeah. be a little smoother. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll go through the audit book, and we'll start on page 2, which is Gardner and Company letterhead. And this is the independent auditor's report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2025. Just a refresher, the purpose of an audit is to opine on whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented. The audit is not designed to find fraud or find errors or irregularities. It's designed to assess risk and perform test work in order to provide opinion on the financial statements. So for this year, we have issued an unmodified opinion, which is what you want to hear, means we believe that the financial statements are fairly presented. Now, during the course of the audit work, we did find some material adjustments that were proposed and then made by the county so that all of those transactions were properly included in the financial statements. So, again, this report goes ahead and outlines that. We talk about our basis for the opinions. We do tests and samples. Again, we assess risk and conduct audit work, tests and samples based on that risk assessment. We don't look at every single transaction that goes through the county during the fiscal year that might have had an impact. The report continues talking about management's responsibilities for the financial statements. Ultimately, these are approved by Amanda. So she, makes sure that all the adjusting entries are proposed and approved, and she ultimately approves the draft of the financial statements.
On page 3, we talked about the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements, and again, this kind of goes through and outlines what our responsibilities are to obtain reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance that everything is properly stated. And then it goes through and talks about how we exercise professional judgment and skepticism. We assess the risk of material misstatement. We obtain an understanding of the internal control structure within the county. We evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies that are used. And then at the end, we look about if there are any conditions or events that might raise doubt about the county's ability to continue as going concern. So then on the following page, we talk about the required supplementary information and the supplementary information that is included in this audit book. And then when we get to page 6, we get to management's discussion and analysis. And the pages that follow provide some highlights. It talks about using this annual report. The county does present 3 separate sets of financial statements because we budget on the cash basis. We have a budget to actual. You're required to submit the GAAP report to the Department of Management, which that has a 60-day accrual. So it includes your accounts receivable and accounts payable. So that's the modified version of the financial statements. And then we also have the full accrual financial statements, which include all of your capital assets and long-term liabilities. And so that is most like what you would see in the private sector. And so this goes ahead and explains all of that. And then the following pages go ahead and have some comparative information. There's an opportunity for the county to talk about budgetary highlights and what happened with the budget amendments for fiscal 25. And then on page 13, there's an opportunity for the county to talk about economic factors in next year's budgets and rates. And so Amanda was saying enough to prepare the information that goes for the budgetary highlights and then also the economic factors piece of that. So then the actual financial statements start on page 14. Exhibit A and Exhibit B are your full accrual financial statements for the whole county. And again, that includes all of your capital assets and all of your long-term liabilities. The only thing that is different this year is with your compensated absences liability, we were required to break that out between the current portion that's due and payable within 1 year and the portion that's due and payable after 1 year. So with that, back to the implementation of GASB 101, because of the way your compensated absences policy reads, your vacation and your comp time doesn't necessarily carry forward. So that is going to be that current piece of that. Because of the sick leave and how that is worded, that piece is your long-term liability. So vacation and comp time is the current piece that's due and payable in 1 year, and then the sick leave is due and payable after 1 year. And again, that's based on the implementation guide for GASB 101. So then on page 16, we have the statement of activities, which is your income statement. For this fiscal year, the county had a change in net position of $2,778,405. A good share of that, 2.6 million, is due to the infrastructure that went through your farm to market account down at the DOT. So we had the 2.6 million that was included into, your capital assets based on that farm to market contribution. So that was the majority of that. Exhibit C and Exhibit E are your modified accrual financial statements. So these mirror the GAAP report. Again, we present general rural services, secondary roads, debt service, and capital projects as major, and then the smaller non-government, the smaller governmental funds that are aggregated and presented as non-major. So, and then we have Exhibit D and Exhibit F that reconcile that, and it'll step you through how to get from the modified accrual basis of accounting to the full accrual basis. So it goes ahead and it steps you through that process. Exhibit G, H, and I then are your proprietary funds. So we have the Enterprise Agribusiness Park Water Supply Fund and also your Health Insurance Fund. So those are presented on those 2 statements, and we have a statement of net position, a statement of changes, and a cash flow. So you can see how those are doing for this fiscal year. And then Exhibit J and Exhibit K are for your custodial funds. So this is going to be your cities, your townships, your assessor, 911 and emergency management. These are aggregated and presented at the front of the book. The detail for these funds individually is presented in schedules 3 and 4 at the back of the book. The notes to the financial statements then start on page 31, and I'm going to, skip over all of them unless someone has a specific question. It's a lot of accounting verbiage and terminology, some vocabulary. It has the amortization schedules for all of your debt. There is some required information from the actuary that calculates the IFRS liability and for the other post-employment benefits liability. So all of that required actuarial information is included there. We also have a disclosure about your insurance and your health insurance. The only one that I will stop and talk about is on page 61, and that's in regards to the implementation of the new GASB pronouncement. So that gives the rules on GASB 101 and why that was. Implemented. So then on page 62, we get to your budgetary comparison schedule, and this is your cash basis because the county budgets on a cash basis. We're required to present this. So this is starting with the actual column, that's all the cash in and out of your governmental funds. We pull out the drainage, so that's in the fund that is the column that is less funds not required to be budgeted because drainage is not included in your budget document. And then we get to the net. And then we present your original budget and also your final amended budget, and then we go ahead and present any variances, from that budget. So, and then during the course of our analytical procedure field work, we look at those variances to determine, if they're reasonable. We've got a percentage that we set to look at, and then, we consult with the departments if, something is out of whack. Usually capital projects is out of whack because Mother Nature never cooperates and projects never progress the way you think that they're going to. And the other one that seems to be a repeat offender is the intergovernmental because of the timing of some of the receipts for your state grants and some of those reimbursements. You think you're gonna get that money at a certain time, you budget for it, and then it doesn't always come through the way you think it's going to. So even though some of those variances are rather large, they were explained, so there aren't any red flags. Then the following pages are just some more required supplementary information related to the budget and also to the IPERS liability. There's a couple of 10-year schedules for the county's proportionate share and the county's contributions for the last 10 years that are required to be presented. Also, we have an 8-year schedule with the OPEB liability that's required to be presented, and all of the information for these schedules comes from the actuary. So then on page 73 and 74, we start the non-major governmental funds. So at the front of the book, where you see the non-major column, this is the detail for those individual funds. Schedules 1 and schedules 2, and then schedules 3 and 4 for your custodial funds. And then schedule 5 on page 81 and 82 is also required, and it's a schedule of revenues by source and expenditures by function for the last 10 years. And then that gets us to Gardner and Company letterhead again on page 83. And this is the independent auditors report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. So in addition to opining on whether or not financial statements are fairly presented, we're required to do some internal control test work and also some code of violation compliance test work. The state auditor's office does provide us with that compliance guide every year. There's some things we check every year religiously, with the budget, with the board minutes, that type of thing. There's some things that are on a rotating basis. So it might be every other year, every 3 years, every 5 years. There's some things they throw in every little bit just to spice it up and give us something new to look at. So, and again, this work is based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single transaction that might impact the findings. And then the findings are based on the results of our test work. So that leads us into the schedule of findings, which starts on page 85. First one is segregation of duties. It's in every single audit report that I issue. And it's just because you don't have enough people on staff to entirely segregate duties. So it's possible that one person could handle a transaction from beginning to end. And so because there is that possibility, we go ahead and we have to have this finding in there. Now you do have controls in place to mitigate these risks. The treasurer's office has, bank reconciliation processes at the end of every day, end of every week, end of every month to go ahead and mitigate this. You as supervisors are involved in the claims process. So, you going ahead and looking through those claims also helps mitigate those risks. So yeah, we talk about internal control every year. The department heads get to fill out an internal control questionnaire that I'm sure they look forward to every year. And you're doing the best you can. My other recommendation is to keep up with the state auditor's office website, because when they do have special investigations, they're really good about posting that information in those reports. And they're very detailed on what led up to the fraud or the misappropriation and how they found it. So I like to read through those and kind of play devil's advocate to say, okay, could this happen here? And what can we do to make sure that it doesn't happen here? So the second finding we have is in regards to preparation of full disclosure financial statements. Because we assist with the GAAP report and also the full accrual financial statements, I'm required to put this in there just to acknowledge that we do assist in that process. Now, everything does go through Amanda. She gets all of the proposed adjusting journal entries and, ultimately she has the say as the financial reporting person. But because we assist with that process, I'm required to have this finding. The third finding on page 86 is in regards to financial reporting. We had material amounts of accounts receivable, the opioid settlement accounts receivable and deferred inflows, and accounts payable that had not been properly recorded in the county's financial statements. So again, this was discovered through the process of the audit, and then we proposed adjustments. Adjustments were made, so all of those transactions were properly included in the financial statements. So that gets us to the statutory reporting findings, and the first one we have is on the certified budget. Amounts budgeted in the non-program function were not sufficient, so we did have an excess there. And there were a couple of departments that had exceeded the amounts appropriated during the year. So it's just really important that the departments, communicate with the auditor's office when they know that they're gonna need to have a budget adjustment of some sort. They get those reports monthly and they know what they have for upcoming expenditures. So it's just important that they communicate and are able to have that amendment and additional appropriations done timely before they. The next one here on page 87 is in regards to questionable expenditures. And for this fiscal year, we did not identify any expenditures during the course of our task work that we felt were questionable. Your auditor's office staff and the board, you guys have done a really good job about flagging anything that you do think is questionable and, catching that during the process and resolving it before it gets spent. So you guys have done a really good job with that. Now, also, this is based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single expenditure that went through, but the ones that we did select for testing did have the proper public purpose documented, and there was public benefit. On page 88, we identify some related party transactions. The Code of Iowa identifies $6,000 as the threshold for a potential conflict of interest in doing business with related parties. We do have one that is over that, but the proper procedures were followed in order to go ahead and use that vendor. So there's no finding associated with this. It's just a transparency disclosure. And then the last finding we have on page 89 is in regards to the code of ordinances. And the Board of Supervisors is required to compile a code of ordinances every 5 years. So, and I believe that is in process, just has not been completed.
I think the next one to review it.
Yep. So, hopefully this, if we can get it done before June 30th, then this finding will be resolved then for next year. So, and that takes us to the end. So it was a really clean audit this year. Everybody was very prepared and ready for us, which we really appreciate, and it really went smoothly. So it's a good audit. Do you have questions or concerns or?
As far as like the certified budget, when departments are going to be like close to their threshold, they're supposed to let Amanda know, right? That's not Amanda keeping track.
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Department heads, they're all very responsible and capable, and they know better than she does what that department is going to need. If they're gonna have a vehicle purchase or if they're gonna have,
Right.
overtime or, they are involved with the day-to-day. So, if they know something's coming up and there needs to be an adjustment made, and I know the auditor's office keeps an eye on that too. You guys always have. To guide and do, but again, they don't know what those day-to-day expenditures are going to be, or if there's another purchase coming up or, something that way, so. Just a matter of good communication between the department heads and the auditor's office. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me come and visit this morning.
Thanks, Alicia.
Thank you.
Do you want me to last bench? Good. I'm gonna go last. Okay.
Each kid had a decent pay. Okay. I should have taken it. But it was. And it was 3 degrees. Reason 10,000. It was a little bit even more money. But the shade. Yeah, it was serious. Lindsay was pilot has. Things today. And they had people. Yeah. Yes. They
Don't know what to do.
they haven't had that we haven't had kids. Well, this is straight. Yeah.
Jelly beans.
Yeah.
I don't want one, it's like their Easter egg, I you want to.
Yeah, about 100.
I wish. I love starters.
No.
Okay. Moving on, item number 6, approve new hire for telecommunications specialist in the Wright County Communications.
So I have offered a full-time position in the amount of $23.50 to somebody. We changed up our interview process this time. They did a peer interview and then I did a second interview and then now we are doing a dispatching exam. So this candidate, she did well at everything. She scored high on her exam and she's already had her physical and I'm just waiting for drug tests and she's good to go. I would like to start on April 27th with your approval.
Can you write down the name?
Oh,
We
yeah,
got-
packet.
We had a
Yeah.
packet.
I have a copy of it here.
Looks like she's local too, right?
Yes, Wright County resident.
That get you filled back up or still short?
Short one. I'm in the process of, the interview process with a part-time employee, more of a scheduled part-time employee. So, that will help out, but yeah, we're still short one full-time person.
Mhm.
Obviously.
Well, it's a tough job to do. Either busy or knocked out or nothing.
But, I mean, we're.
And as much as they say, I hope it's nothing.
Right,
Mhm.
yep.
I make a motion to approve your hire.
I'll second that. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
It is telecommunications week, so thank you, your local dispatcher.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that. Happy telecommunications week. Do.
Chairman, yes.
You didn't tell me that. Okay, do we have enough time for the next 2 items before our scheduled agenda? We have 2
It
minutes.
won't take very long. It's up to you. They can wait too.
Let's
Unless you
wait.
guys have questions, it's just reviewing it, saying yes, so I can publish it.
Do it quick.
Okay. Review, item number 7, review and receive the budget amendment documents for FYE 2026.
So, we have a couple departments that needed a budget amendment. As you can see, you have from our solution software, what it would look like. They are going to decrease their revenues by 73,492. And also have a decrease in expenses of $305, $305,211. If you wanna go through, you can. I have it listed by each department and by fund on those 2 sheets. In the drainage fund, that's kind of a big one because I had to put it in there so that I could do a transfer
Mm-hmm.
to the rural services.
And those were for the dollars received through,
Seismic testing,
seismic testing.
yes.
Uh, I don't have any questions concerning the individual departments, as you presented on that, spreadsheet. I would make a motion to receive the budget amendment, documents for fiscal year ending in 2026.
I would second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 8, set budget amendment hearing for May 4th, 2026.
So that will hit the requirement, so I can get it in the newspapers. Or to the newspapers for publication next week, and then that will hit the requirement for May 4th. Doesn't matter what time, you guys can pick a time.
Make a motion to set the budget amendment hearing for May 4th, 2026 at 9:15 a.m.
Second, Karen?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, our first timed agenda item, it's 9:30. Public hearing for matrix review of Buffalo site in Vernon Township, section 15. For 2 new confinement pits and barns. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to open the public hearing. All those, do I have to do a roll call?
Yes.
Roll call vote. Dean?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Debbie?
Aye.
Ashley? Aye. We are open.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Kent Kraus with Pinnacle in Iowa Falls, Iowa. And we provide the permitting work for, on the Buffalo site permit and also on, the Larry Olson, non-construction expansion. So, I think we're on for the Buffalo site first.
Correct.
Yes.
Just, I'll give you an overview of location, manure plant, and then we'll talk about the master matrix. Okay. With that, here we go. With that, so what we have is new construction. It's for 4,999 head. It's in section 15 in Vernon Township of Wright. It's a few miles southwest of Dallas, Iowa, owned by Darren Holtkamp. With that, it'll be 2 buildings, deep pit, fully covered, tunnel ventilated, ventilation. We've got, that site's gonna produce just short of 1,300,000 gallons of manure a year. And our manure management plan at this point is built to handle, go to the correct page here. What's the page 3 summary? Manure management plan is built to handle over 2,100,000 gallons of manure per year. That manure management plan is a living document, so fields can be added to that at any time. Fields all scored in the very highest category of the Iowa Phosphorus Risk Index. So what that does is look at those fields and the potential for phosphorus loss into Iowa's water system. They scored as very low probability of phosphorus loss to Iowa's waters. It's primarily an erosion driven assessment. We look at soil type, slope, distance to water, analyze that 11 different ways, and they fall into the score of very low probability of nutrient loss. Once those fields are approved for manure applications, then those manures can only be applied to what that crop is going to use for nitrogen that following crop year. Okay. So with that, your county participates in the master matrix process. We look at that site from 3 different perspectives: impact on the local air system, impact on the local water system, and impact of the local community. With that, the combined scoring on that site is required to reach a 440 point score. This site, the not to cut to the finish first, but this guy site scores 495 points of the 440 required. If you'd like, I can go through the 44 questions that get to that scoring, or if you have any particular concerns on that placement, I'd welcome any questions now.
Can you define more than just section 15? Is it in the
Sure.
northeast,
Sure.
northwest?
Yep. It is.
Whose ground is this on?
It's ground they're purchasing from the Webhome family.
This
Yeah.
is a split, guys, so you're not gonna find it in Beacon right now.
Was it
Oh.
Evelyn, was it Denture ground before?
Who it was.
Let's see, I've got a,
It's west of Dylan Johnson's, 1615 400 You go west.
what they have is a survey, I'll just hand the
Show you.
survey around for you.
I believe it was Mary, it says Mary and Ginger before.
Just west of where Randy Watts used to live, right?
Yes.
Um,
And,
Westwell's home,
and it looks like there's a waiver on,
yes,
from Dylan.
Bill Johnson, because they're closer than they should be to his.
Okay, so also there is a new home going up. Do you have another map? Um, there's a new house right here going up. The house, these are like Brian Jacobson. It's Brian and Lori Jacobson. So I don't know how far that distance is.
I see that.
Identify locations, and how that building's gonna configure.
It's just not, the interior isn't done.
I thought we were waiting.
You got that paper right here.
Yeah, this one, sorry.
So this was 3,000 and it's right here.
House.
Yeah. There's a house being built right here. It's a house.
Okay.
Condominium.
Okay,
We don't have that now,
now the definition as far as residents, where if it's not occupied yet or finished, it's had to have been habitated in the last 6 of the last 24 months.
Mhm.
So I don't know that it would meet our definition of being required to measure to it at this time. But anyway, and if that's the,
They've been working on it since last.
I'm gonna guesstimate it.
It's at the west end of 305th Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guesstimate.
And they have.
Where's the new?
They, for the last year.
Right here.
how-
Looks like right here, okay, so this is
Cleaning it up.
the
And so
first quarter.
they have not lived there, but they are there every
So-
day.
with the septic system or the utilities are probably their electricity. What about the septic system? Would it be?
Should be,
I'm coming, septic on it yet.
you have the building permit and everything like that. Anyway. We have to see, well, let's say. It's less than a half a mile away, so.
So what I'm just gonna do some quick math. You think it's less than a half?
My guess is that you're gonna be in the waiver. I think you're gonna be less than.
So we've got 45 extra points, but
2,500 feet.
shows 2,500. If we would look at the points on number 1, and we can get you revised scoring and a revised map.
Okay.
So
So 25.
so
There's a
2,500 minus 1875 is our minimum distance. So we'd be 625 extra feet. Okay, well, that's gonna make a difference.
I had one other
Only 45.
question also. Distance, to water, in your dark blue line, you've got 2,075 feet. That's to that, pond to the northeast.
This one's closer too, though,
It's
right?
actually on this one that's measured.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, so
Because
that's
there's
3,000.
this
This one
pond
has a waiver on
outlets, there's a beaver dam there right
Got it.
now, but this
Yeah.
pond outlets into this.
So there, you're worried about this one, right?
Which is a
Yeah.
private ditch.
Gotcha.
Um,
So this
I think
is
the measurement should probably
this
be,
one, like these,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know if it's running water or if it's, or.
The measurement, on farm ponds, would be to the outlet.
Okay.
And again, the theory behind that is if there was ever a spill, it can be contained in that spawn, in that, before the outlet.
Okay.
And then be pumped out, you know, if there was any manure contamination in it, but yeah, the technique, the measurement to that would be to the outlet of that pond.
Okay. And when I say,
Right here. I'm washing.
I'm not sure that there is an outlet, it was a gravel pit that the outlet is formed by a beaver dam right now, when I walked out to it.
Right.
Again, just,
Does it hold water at all?
it
with
does
that
hold
dam?
water, yes, sir,
Or
it most
is it-
certainly does.
Or is it
Right on
elevating
the
that
street.
level by a couple feet? Or is that the total?
I don't know, the reason that I question this is because the pond is in one drainage district. And the outlet for it outlets into another drainage district,
Okay.
and we're currently talking with our drainage attorney, trying to figure out what we do.
Okay.
Do we annex that in or,
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question. With the proximity of all the gravel pits down there, what are the requirements for applying manure on sandy soil? Obviously, it's a gravel-based soil down there.
Yeah, again, as far as manure requirements, there'd be no setback if it's injected. And so this manure plan's built on injected manure. So there really wouldn't be, and then from a nitrogen perspective, we're only applying for that particular year's crop, same as if it be anhydrous or 28% or those sort of things.
Yeah, I understand
But
that.
no,
The
no,
leach
it-
factor of the gravel concerns me.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So, we can go through the matrix, but, we're gonna need to revise that score.
Okay.
I think I think we'll go back, from my perspective, we'll go back, rescore. Let's get
Mhm.
final clarification from DNR, how they want that on scored,
Yeah,
and then we'll be back.
Okay.
The gravel pit, and I can get you Brian and Lori Jacobson's contact information on that acreage, because I think it is too close.
Okay.
What is this, what does it have, how many feet?
They were estimating 2,500 feet away from the facility,
So
so
553 is what the distance is, and you're asking minimum
What is the minimum?
1875.
1875.
Okay.
So they meet the
So they
minimum,
do
it's
meet.
just changing our matrix score.
Mhm.
Number one on the matrix score brings that down to 45 rather than 100.
Right. Which means we'll have to, look for additional points through management.
understood. The, what I call the Randall Watts farmstead, you have a waiver for that, that's why it's allowed to go less than the 1,800.
Yeah, and that would be in your permit packet that was delivered to the county, that's signed and that's recorded on the abstract of that property.
Mhm.
And I will, in ASAP, so you guys can see that
Pardon me?
I will update Beacon
Okay.
with that split ASAP, so you guys can see that.
Yep,
When we verified that, when we went through it initially, that there was, he did have the ability to. Enter into that waiver with the new owner, because that was the other question on
okay,
who owned it and did he have the ability to make that.
And
Yeah.
you said it was Darren Holcamp that's building this?
Correct.
yeah, I guess my main concern is the proximity to, the main ditch, which, that dumps directly into the Iowa River. And whether we would consider the near side of the pond or where the pond outlets through that ditch. Yes, sir. So,
9:45.
I would move to,
I think this is just a public hearing.
oh, okay,
We're soon to close it.
Yep, after public comments are done, we can close it.
okay.
There's
Any,
no
I
action
guess,
taken.
do we ask for any other public comments? Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none.
Motion to close the public hearing
Second.
on the Buffalo site in Vernon Township, section 15.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Roll call vote, two. Roll call vote, Dean, Rick,
Aye.
Lynn, Betty, aye. Ashley, aye. It is closed. It's now 9:45.
Thanks.
Public hearing for matrix review in Lake Township, section 22 to increase the annual capacity only to existing confinement facility. I have a motion to open.
Motion to open.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to open public hearing. Roll call vote, Dean, Rick,
Aye.
Lynn, Betty, aye. Ashley votes aye. We're open. Go for
Okay, this one I hope is a little easier.
it.
This one is Larry Olson's site in section 20, northwest quarter of section 22 in Lake Township. And what we're doing a number of these for Smithfield growers. I don't know if we've had any others come through the county or not.
no,
One more
Yeah.
next week.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh, we just next week.
Yeah, we'll have one of theirs and potentially the second one also a few days after, a few weeks after that, we're still working on. But anyway, Seaboard has changed their Smithfield has changed their stocking requirements. And they're offering the growers the potential to put a few more pigs in their barns. And of course, the growers like that because they get paid for a few more pigs. So as much as DNR calls this a new construction permit, layman's terms, it's a non-construction expansion permit, but they don't offer that title in their permitting process is why that gets a little confusing on how these are presented. But long story short, no construction going on the site whatsoever. It's just a revised manure management plan. And so back to that, the manure plan now going forward is going to produce just under 1.5 million gallons. And again, they'll have capacity in this plan 4,200,000 gallons per year. So a lot of extra acres allowing for a lot of different rotations to maximize the value out of those manures. But
can you tell me,
Yes.
it's an increase of 1.5 million gallons. What was the previous?
no, actually, if total gallons produced would be 1.49.
Okay,
Previously, would have been. Okay, so previously was 1.916. And now we're at. Okay, let's go back to. And now we're at 1.488960. Little, why that's changed so
How
much
did we
is
do that?
because
Go down.
those buildings, when they were originally built, the manure plans were submitted as feeder finish. So that'd be a 50-pound pig going out at 250 pounds. As they're doing this, Smithfield runs as wean to finish. So those now are 15, 20-pound pigs going up to 250. So those 8 weeks that those pigs were normally in a nursery now are taking up days in the finisher. So those finishing sites, even though they come in earlier, don't produce as many gallons as what they used to. Okay, yeah, so there's along with, adding head, there's what we call a production change, where they're converting that manure plant to a wean to finish plant.
Good.
Okay. Okay, now. Master matrix. Okay, this master matrix,
480 was your score,
yep,
440 is minimum.
yep, 440 is minimum. I don't have the original master matrix to be able to compare that original score with this one. I don't think there were any points that changed. So it'd be identical. I can go through them if you'd like. Closest residence, is 1,985 feet. These sites, when they were built, that separation distance at that time was 1,000 feet to the outside slurry stores or containment. So they had an extra 985 feet. No public use areas within 2,751 feet had maximum scores in question number 2. No commercial enterprises within 25 feet, 2,500 feet got maximum score of 30 on question number 3. Closest water source was 3,339 feet of the required 500. Got 30 points on question number 4. This site sits back off the gravel road quite a ways, so they got extra points for being more than 300 feet off the gravel road. There's no critical public use areas, so they got 10 points for question number 6. Major water, there was no major water within 3,500 feet of the site, so they got 50 points on question number 8. No high quality waters in the neighborhood. They got 30 points on question number 10. Again, they're form storage structures, so it'd be cement or steel qualifies for that. So they got form structure. There's a truck turnaround, so the trucks come completely in off the road, turn around on the site and come back out. So they've got points for the truck turnaround. Larry's had no administrative orders ever. 30 points for question number 20. Site qualifies for homestead tax exemption, qualifies for family farm tax credit. Wet dry feeders, injecting the manure. And with that, I think that's the last points taken to score 480 points of the 440 required.
You said something about homestead credit?
That's what I just asked her.
Yeah.
We did verify that here. We verified it with,
The pig's not.
They live
there.
Cause they live on the property, so there's major.
They're the house
after.
Okay, well, I didn't, when he said 1,900 feet was the closest residence.
That's counting the house.
We don't look at the owner's house.
Okay,
Not counting.
gotcha,
Non-owner residence would be 1,985.
got it, thank you. Yeah. I was- Okay,
So the house is right there.
gotcha, all right.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
And I do appreciate when they build on their own homestead,
Right.
because then they're willing to deal with it
Yeah.
and for everything. unlike the other one, I think Darren, I think he lives south further,
I personally
South
don't
and
know where.
west.
But
you know, it's not close to the site,
Southwest, yeah.
southwest. Yeah, it's not close to the site, so I do like that better.
So Jamie did go out, even though, the DNR does not do site visits on these expansions. However, we felt like that was important because you're still using an existing, facility to make sure that there isn't anything that's, big red flags. Jamie met the Pinnacle people there, and we will also did that on Huntley's too, that's an expansion, so.
Was there anything that you guys seen that was different than what was presented here?
nothing.
Yeah, Holly called me on it, and, cause he knew the county was coming out, and he's like, wondering why we were coming
Yeah.
out.
That's funny.
And then I called public health and found out they need to go out there just to, okay, there's no red flags.
Yeah.
So
We
if something
do-
comes up, you
we're,
can say,
Yeah, we're asking you guys to approve a matrix.
yeah,
How do we do that without
not knowing where you're going.
what we're paid for?
Mhm.
Jamie was all excited, so.
Yep.
Come on, I wish I could have been out there with you, cause I know he asked me to come out, but I just could not make it that day.
Made it work.
So the points that they did capture were correct.
Okay.
I've had no comments from the public concerning either one of these.
Neither have I.
The only one I have is the concern was the house that is
Yeah.
being built that
Oh,
was
yeah.
not noted.
Yeah, on the
And-
Buffalo site,
on
and
the Buffalo
truly,
site.
I question whether or not the out or the closest point on that, but the DNR may have a different. If you'll just check on that.
We'll probably have to meet them out there and just understand
Yeah,
what is, yeah, it's just a beaver dam. I
but
agree.
it's a
Yeah.
big beaver dam. I mean, it's really big.
So will you guys have to have another public hearing for the Buffalo site after you review
If
it?
this is,
Yeah, if it's,
changed, yes, we'll have to go through the process, yeah.
And also with the soil types in that area, and of course, I haven't seen where they plan on spreading all the manure. But it's a different soil type in that area, very sandy, very loose, not the best quality.
Correct. The manures really help that type sort of soil because of the organic matter that comes in them. From a and the big concern would be nitrogen loss.
Mhm.
One thing about swine manure, it's about 82% in the ammonia form when it's applied. And so that requires warm temperatures to break it down. So swine manures and manures in general will actually be more stable and more resistant to leaching than say a nitrate applied nitrogen, like your 28%, your 32% that are already in a form that's easily leached out the soils. But yeah, any nitrogen applied to any of those sandy or granular soils is gonna be more susceptible to loss. But from this perspective on the manure application specifically, it will be a more stable manure than some of the commercial fertilizers. And from an agronomic perspective, like I say, the organic matters and the micronutrients that come in the manures will really make those yields pop on a sandy type granular soil, but generally pretty deficient in nutrients. Just because of that soil structure.
motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Yeah, I was gonna ask for more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any other public comment?
So I think DNR forgot we like to be involved here in Wright County on the site visit, so. You guys had already had your site visit before he left the county or was heading out, the DNR remembered and called, so. Jamie ran out, so. Just future site visits, we always want to be there and involved also.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
we
we can-
caught up with him, but it was a little bit of a disadvantage to catch up.
Hearing none, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Motion or second. Roll call vote, Dean, Rick,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Betty,
Aye.
Ashley votes aye. We're closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, apologize, we had missed that new house,
Mhm.
but, we'll get that cleared up and, I'll call DNR on that pond. I don't know if you want anybody at the county to come out as we.
If they want to look,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it would be good for,
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll
absolutely.
keep you in the loop as we go through that.
And
thank you.
your phone light is on, so don't wear your batteries out.
I'm the dinosaur of the group and they've insisted that I have a iPhone. It's resisting me.
Don't feel bad, I have the same problem.
Anyway, do appreciate your time and, yeah, we'll get this, figured out and then we'll get you rescheduled here. So,
Perfect.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Yep, thanks, folks.
All right.
What is the minimum for, from another hog unit, from another facility? Is there a minimum?
Yeah.
Well,
Number two. Let's
Then
see.
from a site permit perspective, especially if they're separate owners, they can literally build them across the road from each other.
Mhm.
Now, that's not a great situation from a biosecurity. Most of the integrators won't allow that today. There are, points available, in the master matrix if we're more than, 3,960 feet away from another confinement, I believe is the distance. But anyway, yeah, from an actual permitting, especially on small ones, you could have them right across from each other. Most of the integrators try to control that today unless they happen to have contracts with both those owners, but yeah, as far as distance from other confinements, there's not a restriction actually.
Whichever there's points that you can take.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, you.
Yeah, cause I know that there's quite a few hog buildings out in that area already.
Yeah.
It's probably not an ideal place.
Yeah. I don't recall right off the top of my head what the closest one was on the map. We go out a mile.
I think it's 3,500.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Fry's, and I don't know how just Fry's is.
Do you still have those papers I gave you? Oh, yeah. Then there was another one.
We gave ours back.
Okay.
I gave mine back.
It looks like the one we would have measured to was 4,900 feet,
No,
just
that
short
one's-
of a mile to the
That one's
northwest.
theirs, Betty.
Okay,
4903.
okay.
Oh, is that her map?
Okay. Yep, there's that one, and then there's, that's always. Okay. Sounds good, thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve.
All right, moving on. Any old business? Any new business? Date on meetings?
I listened to the legislative forum. And, to see what was all going on down at the Capitol and what is passed. It's been an interesting, but I was driving and listening at the same time, so I didn't write any notes. But I think they're still trying to get something with property tax reform. But the clock is ticking, so I don't know if there's some changes they wanna make, but.
The Senate passed the bill.
Yeah.
They-
I think on Wednesday or something.
Yeah, I made two amendments. One remove the 60 and over clause.
Exemption.
Yeah. There is graduated, if you're 100 years old. you qualify. So there was that concession, and then the.
There's a few.
How many 100-year-olds live in their own home? Yeah.
I'm sure one of my family relatives, I think she was 102 and she died at her home.
Really?
There's several that sell driver's license too.
Okay, all right.
And then there's the gas tax, where the gas tax wasn't. Isn't going, they voted to approve gas tax, but increase, but. From what I understood, they're gonna hike it up every year, so it's gonna be reintroduced to be voted on every year. So there's that.
And I thought they did limited the carryover to 25%.
Is that on all funds or just general
I'm not
basic and
sure.
road services?
But I know that the cities had made comments of they are getting better loans if they have a little more of a carryover, they're getting better interest rates, so that's gonna hurt them that they're gonna pay more, you know?
Well, and if you, in my personal life, I try to save up if I know something's coming. I try to
Right.
save rather than getting a loan and paying interest, because it costs you more.
And if you're a city or county, your emergency issues are a lot more expensive
Right.
than personal.
I'm not certain there's a stomach in the house.
Yeah.
The sentiment that I'm gathering from the other House members are, they just wanna pass a budget and go home.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sentiment I'm beginning to really see clearly. If anything really comes of it, I can tell you this, the Senate. There are a number of Republicans in the Senate that are not happy with the budget as is, because it's a $1.5 to $1.6 billion deficit, and they're just not happy with it. It was supposed to be 1.6 over 5 years, so they're just not there. Until next year, they're already projecting $1.2 billion deficit, so they're not happy about voting on approving any sort of budget, which, from what I'm gathering, that's the hang up on the CO2 pipeline eminent domain bill. They don't want to leverage the budget because they don't want to come back and vote for the budget because they don't agree. So it's really put everything kind of in a pickle.
So, anyway, it's, if you get an opportunity, you need to watch the video from last Friday.
Perfect.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We're adjourned and we'll move right into drainage.
We got the vehicle.
See you later, Eric.
Great guys.
All right. We will now convene as drainage trustees. Do I have an approval of the tentative agenda?
So moved.
I have approval, a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes for the last meeting.
Last meeting was April 6th, 2026. The Wright County Board of Supervisors met in regular session as trustees of the drainage district with the following members present: Rasmussen, Cluse, Bosch, Ellis, and Lutz. Also present were Van Meyer Auditor and Courtney Moore Strange Administrator. Chairperson Bosch called the meeting to order at 12:16 p.m. Motion by Rasmussen and seconded by Cluse to approve the tentative agenda. Motion carried. Minutes of the previous meeting on March 30th, 2026. Should be read and approved. Motion by Rasmussen and seconded by Lukes to approve drainage claims for payment. Motion carried. There were 8 work orders that were reviewed and approved. Those are all listed there. Morris presented the following drainage invoices. Those were listed as Agravia for $6,450, Jacobson Westergaard and Associates for $2,399.65, CGA for $500, and Henniger's for $150. Motion by Cluse and seconded by Rasmussen to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried.
Any additions or corrections besides the one wording? They will stand approved as corrected. Drainage claims.
We have 4 claims for today and they totaled $9,499.65.
Motion to approve. As presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve drainage claims. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Open forum for public input regarding drainage districts. Review and sign any drainage work orders.
We have 2 work orders. The first one is for DD 14, section 30 of Grant Township. This is reported by Mike Reddick. He has requested Mosdam Construction. It's reported as a blowout. This is the same one that was reported about a year ago. That was fixed in,
October.
yes, in October. And,
I went out to the site on Saturday morning. Mosdam was actually out there with his track hoe. He had, there was a suck hole there. We dug down, you could see where they had repaired and covered it with cloth. There was no reason for the suck hole. I mean, the repair was still intact. So whether there was a void when they backfilled last fall and that just presented itself as a suck hole. The main issue though is that line is underwater in the ditch. And I asked them to shoot the elevation from where the repair was made to the outlet, and there's a 1/10 over, I don't know, it's probably 40 yards. There's a 1/10 of fall. So there's several other blowouts going back up the main. My recommendation is that we get an engineer out there to look at, back in the fence line, there is a manhole essentially. And I would like to shoot what the fall is from one to the other and determine, is the next step something to do with tile, or is the next step clean out the ditch? But that drainage there is definitely not working, and it drains a lot of acres too, so. So I will be annotating those notes on this and getting it back to you.
okay.
I'm sorry, the second one.
The second one is for DD 70, section 7 of Lake Township. This is reported by Matt Odlin. He has also requested Mosdam Construction, and this is reported as a tile blowout on a 12-inch tile.
And I haven't been out to see this one yet, but I hope to get out there today, maybe. We'll see how wet it is.
Okay.
Review and sign any open drainage invoices.
We have 3 invoices for today. The first one is for Mosdam Construction. And this was for DD 200, section 9 of Dayton Township. This came in for $1,338.50. The second one is also from Mosdam Construction. This is for DD 36, lateral A. And this came in at $467.50. And the last one was also from Mosdam Construction for DD 70 and section C. And this was for $2,293.62.
Anything else before the drainage trustees?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I have a motion and a second to adjourn as drainage trustees. All those in favor? Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Have a great day.